We were having this discussion earlier for the last couple of days now about knowledge in Buddhism, knowledge and reality. And when you say knowledge, knowledge is basically what we think is real, right? And how we arrived at this reality. So I also introduced this other word called concepts the other day. So knowledge, reality, concepts, that's what we are talking about. And we also discussed the Buddhist approach to refine or filter out the truth from the false, or how to attain the correct knowledge, right? Called Sammajnana. But before we get to the rest of the topic today, I wanted to share something with you. Back in the day when I was a novice monk, and I had a dream. So we went to this place called Bulat Sinhala. It's by a primary forest in Sri Lanka. You know what a primary forest is, right? A primary forest is a forest which has never been touched or cut by human. It's like pure. It's as old as the dinosaurs. It's been there forever. So we went there, me and another monk, and it was a mountainous, very rainy, very cold area. Not very cold. And there were a couple of chalets. So the chalets were quite a bit apart, a bit away from each other. And the day that we were there, when I was sleeping at night, there was this sound and a lot of noises. It was like a lot of angry ghosts and spirits screaming outside my chalet. So then in my sleep, I was thinking, well, let them do all that. I'm not bothered about it. I'm going to sleep anyway, right? So I wasn't very bothered about it. But when I woke up in the following day morning, I told my monk, well, actually what happened was, so I woke up and there was nothing. So the following day morning, I woke up and told my other senior monk that I heard some screams, but apparently it was a dream and something like that. So then he suggested, well, we know this other senior monk who's good at exorcisms. Let's tell him and get something done. And then to see, I woke up again. So what happened was I saw a dream within a dream, right? But what I want to say is that, have you noticed when you're dreaming, the first part of the dream looks very real. You can't distinguish from a reality, or you can't tell it's a dream or a real situation. It looks as real, right? It's very real. But when you wake up from that dream to your reality, everything which mattered, all the emotions, the anxiety, stresses, they are all not valid anymore. They're gone because it belongs to that dreamy part, right? So there is this Chinese philosopher, Taoism. So his name is called Zhang Zhu. So he one day saw a dream, like me. He dreamt of a butterfly. And when he woke up, he wrote in the book, am I a man who dreamt a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming about a man? Right? Quite the conundrum. But the idea is that sometimes we think this is real, but this could be a dream as well. We don't know, and only until after some time, when the dream progresses, we know that it's not the reality, because there are certain things which looks like it's false. But sometimes in the beginning it's so real. So Sun Tzu was a advocate of this thing called skepticism, right? Or uncertainty. We hear of quantum uncertainty. So one of the fundamental things in the world is that we are not sure about a lot of things. The knowledge we have can be very uncertain. We think this is the truth, but the next day we might be proven wrong, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. Uncertainty in terms of our knowledge, not in the world per se. So then what happens is that during these dreams, whatever the reality that we give a lot of value, where our emotions are based and predicated, they are not valid in the real life, right? Right now, we are enjoying a reality, right? And we have our emotions based on this reality. But how do you know if this reality is the ultimate reality? So that's the question. By any means, I'm not telling that we are in a dream or we are in a simulation like in Matrix. That's not what I'm trying to get at. But I'm trying to come out and say, like, the reality that we enjoy, how real is that reality? like have we checked, have we inquired? From last week, the Buddhist approach to using mindfulness as a tool was to inquire these facts. We do the fact checking, right? You go on Google and do the fact checking. So the same thing we are going to do with the mind and mindfulness, the fact checking. Now, having said that, I would like to take this discussion Buddha had. It's called the penetrative exposition, like a discourse. It's called the penetrative exposition because it's a very sharp way of explaining it. Penetrative means it's very sharp or very subtle. It's so fine. It's called the Nibbedaka Sutra in Pali language. So in this Nibbedaka Sutra, Buddha is trying to explain to the disciples what is sensual pleasure and what is suffering and what causes that, right? A very simple thing, sensual pleasure, suffering. Well, it goes on to whole different other subjects as well, but I am giving you the executive summary of the whole sutra. So why penetrative or sharp exposition? Because to the reality and the unreal part, the reality and the dream, they are so aligned together, they are so laminated together. You really need a very sharp, very fine blade to make it slice it, because it's so integrated, right? So your mindfulness has to be as sharp as a Japanese katana, where you can slice it and differentiate between the two. So in this sutra, there's a discussion about this thing called karma and karma guna. Have you heard of karma, the word karma? You might have heard of Kama Sutra, which is a very famous book by Vatsyayana, a Vedic Upanishad, which is used for all the sexual pleasures related things, Kama Sutra. But karma, the word karma in general means the sensual pleasures a person can enjoy. And here he's trying to explain two things, karma and karma guna. Karma is the sensual pleasure, but karma guna is the ingredient or the constituents of sensual pleasure. Now, how does that work? We have to find sensual pleasure, we have 5 faculties or 5 senses. We enjoy the karma or the sensual pleasure through our eyes, ears, nose, taste, and our touch in our body. What it says is that although we think that what we see from the eye is the sensual pleasure, it is not the case. What you see from the eye, what you hear from your ear, the sound or the sight or the aroma or the taste, they are not the sensual pleasures. They are only ingredients for that. The sensual pleasure is really in your mind. Sankappa rago purisassa kamo. So the word sankappa means concept. The sensual pleasures you have are conceptual. Now let's try to bring it down to a more understandable language, what it means in a practical sense. Take a kid who has a particular music genre that he likes to listen to, right? So he's listening to a rock music, and when he's listening to that, he's listening to that within a certain decibel level, because if you really increase the decibel level, it's going to be bad on your eardrums. It will damage your eardrums. But let's say you listen it in a average decibel level. The mom or the dad might not like that music because their taste is in opera, right? And they might hate the hardcore metallic rock music that the kid is playing, and the mother or father would like to listen to classical music or opera or something really smooth like soothing, right? Or even yoga music. So now that displeasure or the pleasure one has and the other one doesn't, is it because of the sound or is it because of how you interpret the sound? Right? When we put it that way, it makes sense. The sound generates different emotions in different people. So is it a quality of the sound or is it a problem with the person who's listening to it? Right? And now we are going to use mindfulness to experiment, inquire about it. So we are going to use our nose, ears, body, the 5 senses basically, and mindfulness to do this inquiry. Which part is the sensual pleasure? Which part is the ingredient for the sensual pleasure? Now, having said that, I also need to tell you, each being in this world, each species has a specific limit of exposure that they are most comfortable in. Like let's take the body for example. We are comfortable in this temperature like 20, 25, 30, it's good for us. If it's 40, it's not very good for us. If it's 50, it's hard for us. But a scorpion or a rattlesnake, they in the scorching desert, they can live very comfortably. They will tell it's a normal day for us at 45 degrees. A beaver outside, I've seen beavers during the winter, minus 25, they are fine, they are swimming, they are under the water, they are coming up, and the squirrels, geese, they are okay with that. They would say it's normal temperature for us to be at minus 25. They might not be okay at minus 100. The scorpion might not be at okay at minus plus 100, but they have a range. So similarly, as human, we also have a range that we are comfortable in our exposure in terms of bodily temperature, in terms of pain, pressure, atmospheric pressure, in terms of the decibels of the sound, in terms of the intensities of the light, etc., etc., intensities of the aromas. But within that limit, within that blanket limit comfortable for this species of human, people have different tastes. They have different tastes in aromas. If you go to a Sephora, you find so many different perfumes. Why do we have different perfumes? Each person relates differently. So is this sensual pleasure when you have this puff of beautiful perfume? Is it in the perfume, or is it how you interpret the perfume? Now that's the golden question today, right? And how are we going to use mindfulness to tackle this? That's what we do through meditation. Okay, so again, I will keep it really short. I don't want to talk too much before meditation, but and we are also going to disregard everything we discussed during this time for our meditation. We don't need that, right? But what I want to say is that our realities and the emotions are based or predicated on this reality that we have. But we have never inquired the truthfulness or the correctness of the reality. If the reality is wrong, our emotions are null and void, like that dream I had. Nothing matters when you wake up, right? So right now, all the positive, negative emotions you are going through, are they based on realities? Or should we inquire? If you are convinced that this is a reality, yes. You know, you can sometimes have alternative realities, right? There are alternative realities that you have. In that alternative reality, there's a different emotion. And when you come to this reality, it doesn't matter anymore, right? So let's do that. And I promise that I will discuss about the thirst that we have for knowledge, and also the tree of knowledge, which I did not discuss. But then we'll take the next few days to inquire about our five senses, the eye, ear, etc., etc. How are they giving us sensual pleasure? Or the sensual pleasure, is it a totally man-made concept-based thing, or is there a part which is coming from outside, right? So let's inquire that point in depth. So now we'll get back to our meditation.